Okay, hi. Um, well, I've been doing a lot of extensions lately for people. All very good. Um, and, you know, dreadlocks take a lot of work. People don't realize how much work they actually take. Um, they come and I put the extensions in, and they don't realize that they take a lot of care after the fact. I can put them in and give you a great start, of course, but if you don't take care of them, they're not gonna turn into good dreadlock mats. So this is a quick tutorial on kind of how to care for your dreadlocks. So first of all, let me show you what I use. I've got a little toolkit here with barrettes and whatever. Um, so I've got three actually different crochet hooks. I've got this little guy, which is a 65 millimeter. It's teeny, kind of hard to focus on. Alright, and that compared to this guy, which is a 3, right? The little one is what I use for the dread poke, or as you go in and you make your dreadlock nice, and that's a series of lots of pokes, or if I'm doing a really small one. Kind of hard to see. There we go. A really small dreadlock. A series of really small ones, which I do sometimes. And so that's kind of my medium-sized one. And I do that when, medium-sized dreadlocks, or if it's not real big, or if I can just very easily kind of, it's for crochet, it's for backcombing and latching, basically. And then on the other end of this little one, or the medium one, I've got the large one, which is about a 5. So the 5 is what I use when I'm starting to kind of backcomb and latch when I first kind of begin with a dreadlock. Alright, so first of all, with my hair, you can see that the tops need work. I bleach my hair, my dreadlocks, probably once a month. The bleaching helps keep them from getting moldy, because the chemicals help keep your dreadlocks from getting weird things in them, and so that helps with the smell, right? And also itching. It helps with itching because you don't have weird things in your hair. And then also it destroys your hair, so it will dreadlock easier. And for people with Caucasian style dreadlocks, that's key. You want your hair to kind of be destroyed. I even recommend to people, even if you don't want colored dreadlocks that are differently colored than your hair, you should just dye your hair the color that that your hair already is, just so that it's destroyed. Sometimes when I'm doing a full set on somebody, they'll come and they'll I'll do a perm lock, and that destroys the hair pretty well, so that's good. And that's a good start for destroying hair. So here you go. And just look at this guy really quick, and I'll just grab my crochet hook, and what I'll do, I'll feel, this is just kind of how to put the tops together nicely. And so what I'll do is I'll feel, I do this without a mirror. I'm so used to doing it now. I do it without a mirror. I'll just sit in front of the television, or I'll sit with my partner and we'll do whatever, and I'll just work at it. It's how I go. So I'll feel it, and I'll see kind of which way it is long ways. And so then I'll take the hook and I'll put it in kind of long ways through the end of the mat. Like right where it's not tightened up yet. Right? Really easy. And then you take the end and you hook it like this, right? And you just pull it straight on through. Easy as pie. Alright? So it tightens it up. And since I went this way the first time, I'll do next. If you think of it in like four corners, four sides of a room, you come from a different side, always. You never do it in the same way twice. And so then you pull it through, and that's getting tighter. It's getting much tighter. I don't know if you can see. Let's try it with one that's a little bit bulkier. Right here where all these little loose hairs are. Maybe here. This one here will do. Okay. Hello, you. Go back there. somewhere. Okay, so you can see, I'll feel kind of where it is. What I'll do, I'll put it through like that, hook it, and bring it through, right? So you can see kind of what I'm doing, very slowly, like that. And so that's how you kind of get the tops tightened up. Alright, I'm not going to do all my tops here, that'll get boring real quick. What I will do though now is show you how to put in a human hair extension. So this is what I use. It's simple stuff. It's ribbon hair, actually. I like to use the ribbon hair for a couple reasons. One, it's not loose when you're dreading it, so it's easier to kind of put it together. So this is not even opened. This was $34.99 for this pack. Just pull it out. And it's human hair, 100% human hair. Really easy to work with. Grab my scissors. Kind of pull it out of the pack. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Alright, it kind of comes in 2 cardboard pieces and it's wrapped around. I just give it a little snip on the ribbon. And then kind of pull them apart. Okay. So this one I'll save for later. And it's really, you don't want like really great human hair for this. This is 14 inches. You don't want the good stuff because it's just going to end up being dreaded. And it doesn't matter, you know, if it's good or not, just because you're going to end up dreading it. So here it is. It's like a ribbon. It's a long blonde ribbon hair. The blonde is a little more expensive. And so what I like to do is I kind of section off about how much I want for a dreadlock. Right? It's that simple. And then I take my handy dandy trimming snips and I go in there. And just go snip the ribbon right off, and I keep it right on the ribbon. Right, so there's a nice chunk cut on the ribbon. A lot of people use these for snap-in extensions. Anyway, they'll snip snaps on them, or they'll put Velcro on it, or, you know, stuff like that. Okay. So I do have a particular lock in mind in which to do this. Where did it go? So I've got a lot of extensions in, obviously, because my hair is not long. Here, just let me find this. There it is, right there. So my hair is not long. And this is the lock I want to put the long human hair extension in. Let's pull it out. Okay, so you can see it. It's not really long. It's not really wide. It's only like, you know, a couple inches long from here down to here. When I first put extensions in it, which was I did fake hair extensions first, it was only like this long. They were really short. I recommend getting a little bit of length because when you put them in really short, sometimes they'll fall out. They'll pop out. So this is what I like to kind of call a tag. It's just a real short little lock ready to work on. Okay, so to get this guy ready, it's really silky, really beautiful, whatever. Some people like to wash them. If you want to wash it to get the chemical smell off, that's fine. So I just stick it in my mouth like this. Very simple. Oh god, that one's a little bit thick. My locks are pretty small. So there we go. There we go. It's better. Okay. Simple, simple, simple. Right? Right, Izzy? Dread roll. Kind of get it all down. Okay. So there. Simple. That's the very, very beginning of it. You have a little bit of blonde hair kind of comes out and about. I save it all and roll it up in the dreadlock later. And so here's the key to kind of keeping it so that it's a good start. right? You want to take your handy dandy crochet hook and do something along these lines, right? And you want to latch it. Very simple. This part takes a while. I usually try to have this done before the clients come. Because then they just sit around while you're latching stuff, and that's a pain in the ass. Okay, so now you have a nice kind of solid lock from here to about here, right? And so that's the top, and this is the tail. All right. And so I like to get the tail because we use that later if I want it to be longer. Okay. Okay, so now it's a nice lock, it's threaded. And so what you want to do is you want to trim the ribbon off, right? And so if you've noticed, I've made it so that the ribbon's kind of at a slant, right? If you can see that. Here, kind of get out of the light. Yeah, so if you can see, I've made the ribbon kind of at a slant instead of straight across. And I do that, I mean, you'll see why I do that in a sec. So we're going to trim off the ribbon. Okay, see, trimmed off the ribbon. And here you go, it's kind of at a slant like that. And then I actually, usually what I do is I pull out the little extra hairs, because there's usually some extra hairs up there. And then I do a dread roll. Okay. Okay. And not only do a dread roll at the top there, but I also try and get some good latches in. Okay. Okay. There. So it's a little fuzzy, of course, because that's how they kind of start out. But here we go. So here, and I usually kind of just, at this point in time, I just do it by feel. It just kind of depends. You kind of gotta feel what the dreadlock wants to do. You put them through each other, basically, right? And the new one is fluffier than the old ones. It'll get more compact as it gets older and more mature. Okay, and very often I'll loop one of the other or the other one around. So right now it's like here's the new lock, here's the old lock, right? Very simple. I'll loop the old lock around and kind of through so that it's really in there pretty good. They don't always need that. Sometimes they just lock really well anyway, but I do like to make sure they're in there pretty good. Alright. And then you pull this one through as many times as you can to get the tail into the tag. There we go. Alright, so now it's just kind of sitting in there, attached like so. Now, now that we've kind of got it in there and we've got it in place, you can feel it, right? What I want to do now is make sure I get the crochet hook through both the new dread and the old dread. And then you pull it through to make sure they're really good and locked together. There we go. Right? And so there should be, when you have your old lock and your new lock, it'll kind of do this type of thing where it'll weave back and forth. And what you want to do is get through the spot where they're not weaved together, where there's a little eye right there. So there'll be a little eye, and I pulled it through many times, and you can feel it. You'll get the hang of it. At first you probably have to do it in a mirror, but you'll get the hang of being able to feel exactly where that is. And then you just pull it through. Make sure it comes through without pulling it out. So, I mean, it takes a really kind of steady hand to be able to figure these out and do it right. There's lots of ways to do it. This is just one way that I have come to use a lot. Alright. And I try to do it at least 3 times. You can use hair glue, but that stuff is like tar. It's disgusting, and it rots. It rots after a while, and so that's better for if you're doing stuff that's not permanent. This is a permanent solution, right? So now I have a great lock. All right, and so it's not as long as, say, this lock, right? And so what I want to do, I want to do it again. Very simple. Exact same way. So here I'm taking the very corner. The ribbon is at a slant. I'm taking the corner, sticking it in my teeth, and pulling it tight down. You can see this takes quite a while. So usually people will come to me for dreadlocks, like, oh, how long is it going to take? And I'm like, oh, between 5 and 8 hours. And they're like, eek. Extensions take longer, obviously, for obvious reasons. They just take forever. So I cut the ribbon off, and now I'm combing out the little extra hairs. All right. And I'll dread that up. All right. Now you go through and you latch everything. I usually kind of start in the middle and work my way down and then work my way back up. And everyone kind of comes up with their own method. You know, dreadlocks are so great because I've never come across 2 pairs that are the same. 2 sets that are the same, ever. Everyone's hair is different. And the way everyone takes care of their locks, and it's like building a relationship with them. You know, you really come to you know, and even every set I've put in my hair has been different, completely different. They all have a personality of their own. They all have different experiences depending on where you've been. I went to Mexico and I went swimming with one set of locks, and there was sand in those until the day I finally cut them off. So, yeah, and those were all my own I had really long hair. My hair all around is super short, actually. I've just put in extensions. All of my hair is either human hair extensions or dreadlock extensions or cankleon. And so I've got a little bit of both right now because I don't want to do them all at once. I like to have it kind of be a gradual change. Just because, you know, I don't have time to do it all at once for my own hair. I mean, I'll make time for other people's hair because they're paying me, of course. But for mine, it's kind of a gradual change. And also, people are so used to my hair being slightly different every time they see me that it doesn't really register anymore, right? And so it's like a gradual thing. If you haven't seen me in 6 months and suddenly my hair's long and blonde, that's one thing. But sometimes, or suddenly it's short and black, you know, short black dreadlocks, or sometimes, you know, there's no dreadlocks in it at all. But yeah, it's always a little different. And every time you do it, again, it's they have a different kind of personality. It's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. Alright, so I'm getting this guy all latched up. And here's the dreadlock that I was working on. Here's the new one. Alright, and so that'll be about the right length. Maybe I'll even do another one. Maybe here. Yeah, okay. So to do this, it's exactly the same thing, right? You're just weaving them through each other and then you're crocheting them together. It's that simple. So here's the first step, right? Second. Okay, so this is what I mean by them having kind of like an eye, right? If you look at it right there, there's the eye, right? When you put them together. And it's the exact same thing down here that you do like at the base of your skull, or the base of the dreadlock. Alright, so you pull it through. Right, so here we go. Make it kind of, there we go. And then this. You wanted to pull it up. And you try to get through. So here's a little eye. So I wonder if I can show you. Here's a little eye, right through here. And what you do is you put through there, through both dreadlocks, and then pull the tail through, like so. Okay. So every time you go, you know, you go through and pull in a new tail, you want to make sure that you go through both the old lock and the new lock. Otherwise you're just going to have problems with it falling out, and that's no good. So now you have like 3. You want to get through all 3 of them. And you pull the bottom of the tail all the way through. Sometimes it takes a little gumption. My head is like numb these days. I don't feel anything. So sometimes it can really hurt when you're putting in new dreadlocks, especially if you're putting in extensions. It can really just be awful. I often recommend people take an aspirin or ibuprofen, or what their over-the-counter medication of choice. One girl, she just drank beer. I'm like, fine with that. As long as you're of age, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, here we go. We've got more up here. Alright. It's actually a pretty simple process. Just takes a long time. And so this is not done, right? I mean, it's kind of fuzzy, kind of whatever. I can feel a weak spot right through here. All right, and that happens sometimes when you're transferring a couple locks together. So you just want to take like a bit of fuzz, leftover hair fuzz, and make that little space a little stronger by putting it in there. I mean, this is how dreadlocks work. It's basically matted hair. So if you make your mats nice, you know, you can fill in holes with other bits of hair. You can, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can, you know, make them as long as you want. I've made dreadlocks that drag on the ground for people. And myself. That was fun. Yeah, anyway. And so now I'm kind of souping up this little spot that's a little bit weaker. Make it nice and strong. There we go. There's not a weak spot there anymore. And we have a nice long dreadlock of real human hair, right? So here's the difference between a fake one, a pink Leon one, and a real one. The real one obviously is very fuzzy right now and will not be as fuzzy in the future once it calms down. It takes a while for them to kind of mat properly. All right, and so it's brand new. And I also want to make sure it's really tight to my head. And so I'm going to go ahead and latch that. And so, I mean, I'm constantly working on them. They take a lot of effort. People don't realize, like I've said before, they don't get how much work they are. You know, it's just kind of different. You know, instead of curling your hair every day, right, you take, once a week you go through and you kind of make sure that they're doing okay, you know. Once every 2 weeks, you tighten them at the top is what I've been doing. Sometimes it's once every month. Depends on how busy I am. And then once a month I bleach them. Or color them whatever color I'm coloring them at the time. Ta-da! Nice and tight and long. And there we go. So that's a tutorial on how to put in a human hair extension. It's in pretty good. Occasionally they'll pop out and you just put it right back in and you just work on it. You work on that one dreadlock. I mean, every single dreadlock kind of has you know, your hair as a whole, it's like a community on your head almost. The whole community makes up your hair, the dreadlocks, but each one is very different, and each one kind of needs their own kind of care. You get to know each one of them, and so I go through, and if I feel a weak spot, I'll add hair. If I feel a spot that's kind of, you know, kind of funky feeling, either I'll do the dreadlock poke to calm it out, to help with the lumps or whatever, or I'll go through and I'll do some latching too. And then you gotta fix the tops as they come. So there you go. That's how you get long, beautiful human hair dreadlocks.